For today's class, we are going to be continuing our discussion of the muscular system, and we're going to focus on the muscles of the head and neck. So think about when you move your eyebrows up and down, or you get stressed and you wrinkle your forehead. Think about when you're eating breakfast or lunch and you're chewing up your food, and when you open and close your eyelids. These actions are all accomplished by muscles of your face. You have your frontalis, which moves your eyebrows up and wrinkles the forehead. The masseter, which is a chewing muscle of the jaw. The orbicular oculi, which closes the eyelids. And the orbicular oris, which circles the mouth. The temporalis is another chewing muscle, but this is a muscle at the upper jaw, and it covers the temporal bone. You have what's called your smiling muscle, which is your zygomaticus major, and then you have a muscle in the neck that rotates the head and flexes the neck. This muscle is called the sternocleidomastoid. And in this illustration, you can see the different muscles of the head and neck. You have your frontalis muscle, which is located at your forehead. You can see your orbicular oculi, which is encircling the eye. You have your zygomaticus major, which is your smiling muscle. You can see your orbicular oris encircling the mouth. There in the neck, you see your sternocleidomastoid, and you see the masseter, that chewing muscle. And then covering your temporal bone, you have what's called your temporalis. And these are important muscles for you to know of the head and neck. Next, we're going to move into muscles of your torso and trunk. So if you were in the gym and you were doing an exercise like a bench press, you would be using the muscles with your pectoralis major. So you can think of your pectoralis major as being your chest muscles. They're going to assist with arm movements and motion. If you've ever had a flu shot, this would be given in your deltoid muscle, which is your shoulder muscle. And it's common a site for injections, again, such as the flu shot and the COVID-19 vaccine. You have the latissimus dorsi, which is the largest muscle in the upper body. And the latissimus dorsi is one of your lower back muscles. And then you have your trapezius. Your trapezius supports your arm and helps to move your shoulder blade or your scapula. And the trapezius is located in your upper back. In this illustration, you can see different muscles of your torso. At the chest, you see your pectoralis major. You can see in the abdominal area, you have your rectus abdominis. To the side of the rectus abdominis, you can see your external oblique. And looking at the posterior side of the body, you can see your trapezius and the latissimus dorsi, that important back muscle. From a side view, you are able to visualize the deltoid. Again, that is the shoulder muscle, which is the site for injections. We saw the rectus abdominis in the illustration on the previous slide. And the rectus abdominis, you can think of this as being like your six-pack. And these muscles are important because they help to bend your abdomen. And then located on the side of each of the abdominis rectus, you have what's called your external obliques, and these are designed to twist or rotate the trunk. And then you have your internal obliques. So they are also located on each side of the abdominis rectus. However, they are underneath or below the external obliques. The internal obliques also assist with twisting the trunk or rotating the trunk, and also with breathing or respiration. So revisiting this slide once again, you can see the rectus abdominis, and you're able to visualize those obliques that you find on either side of the rectus abdominis. Another very important muscle that we are looking at is called your diaphragm. The diaphragm is a thin muscle. It separates your thoracic or your chest cavity and your abdominal cavity. Now the diaphragm is, you can say that it has a dome shape or shaped like a parachute. And the diaphragm is very important when you think about the process of breathing. When your diaphragm contracts, it flattens, and it flattens so that the lungs can expand and fill with air. However, when the diaphragm relaxes, it domes up, and that helps to push air out of the lungs. So the diaphragm, again, is a very important muscle in the breathing process. And lastly, we are going to look at the external intercostals. So if you break down intercostal, it's going to mean between the ribs. So the external intercostals are located between the ribs. Like the diaphragm, the external intercostals also have an important role with breathing. And what the external intercostals do is they assist the lungs by raising that rib cage, which is going to allow those lungs to fill with air. And that concludes the muscles of the head and neck, and also the muscles of the torso or trunk.